The throne room stretched toward infinity, its crystalline walls refracting light into patterns that hurt human eyes to witness. Captain Marcus Reed stood at attention, his uniform crisp despite 3 weeks aboard the alien flagship. Around him, the Valthene nobility whispered in their melodic tone, their tall forms draped in garments that seemed woven from starlight itself. Queen Lyria sat upon her throne of living metal, her 4 eyes fixed upon him with an intensity that made his spine straighten further. She was beautiful in the way a supernova was beautiful, dangerous, and mesmerizing in equal measure. Her skin held the deep violet hue of her people, marked with silver patterns that denoted her royal bloodline stretching back 10,000 years. "The human wishes to renegotiate the treaty," announced Lord Ven, his voice dripping with contempt. "How typical of their kind. They come begging for our protection, then demand better terms once they feel safe." Marcus kept his expression neutral, though his jaw tightened. The Valthene Empire controlled a quarter of the galaxy, their military might unmatched by any other civilization. When the Kreth hordes had descended upon human space 6 months ago, Earth had faced extinction. The Valthene intervention had saved billions of lives, but the price had been steep. "We are grateful for your assistance, Lord Ven," Marcus replied carefully. "However, the current terms require Earth to surrender 70% of our industrial output for the next century. Our people will starve under such conditions." Laughter rippled through the assembled nobles. Queen Lyria raised one slender hand, and silence fell instantly. "You dare bring this petition directly to me?" Her voice was like wind chimes in a hurricane, beautiful and terrible. "Do you know how many lesser species beg for an audience each cycle? Do you comprehend how far beneath my notice your world should be?" Marcus met her gaze, something his diplomatic training warned against. "I do, Your Majesty. That's precisely why I'm here." The throne room went deathly quiet. Several nobles hissed in outrage at his boldness. Lord Ven stepped forward, his hand moving toward the energy weapon at his belt. "How dare you address Her Majesty with such insolence?" Ven snarled. "I should vaporize you where you stand. Ven, stand down." The Queen's command cracked like a whip. She leaned forward, her multiple eyes studying Marcus with renewed interest. "Continue, human. You have my attention." Marcus took a slow breath. This was the gamble, the one chance he had. "Your Majesty, I've studied Valthene history during my time here. 3,000 years ago, the Valthene were not an empire. You were explorers, scientists, philosophers. Your greatest queens were chosen not for their cruelty, but for their wisdom." "Ancient history," Ven interjected. "Irrelevant to this discussion." "Is it?" Marcus kept his focus on Lyria. "Because the queen who sits before me personally reviewed every candidate Earth sent. She could have delegated that task to any of her ministers, yet she spent hours examining our records herself. She chose me specifically for this mission." Lyria's expression remained unreadable, but her primary eyes narrowed slightly. "You presume to know my reasoning?" "I presume nothing, Your Majesty. I simply wonder why a queen with an empire to rule would waste time on such a minor matter, unless she wanted someone who would challenge her." The throne room erupted. Nobles shouted for Marcus's immediate execution. Guards moved forward, their weapons charging with lethal energy. Through it all, Queen Lyria sat motionless, her gaze never leaving the human captain. "Enough." Her single word silenced the chaos. She rose from her throne, her full height nearly 3 meters, and descended the steps toward Marcus. The assembled court watched in shock as their queen approached the human directly. "You play a dangerous game." Marcus Reed of Earth. She stopped mere centimeters from him, forcing him to crane his neck to maintain eye contact. "Do you know what happens to those who dare speak to me as you have?" "I imagine very few have tried, Your Majesty." A sound escaped her throat, something between a laugh and a growl. Indeed, Most species learn submission long before they reach my presence. But humans, I have learned, do not submit easily. Even when facing extinction, your world's leaders argued among themselves rather than accept our terms immediately. Maddening and fascinating in equal measure. She circled him slowly, like a predator examining prey. When I reviewed Earth's candidates, I rejected 47 diplomats, each more qualified than you by conventional standards. But they all had one thing in common. They would have bowed and scraped and accepted whatever scraps I offered. You, however, have a reputation for speaking truth even when it costs you. Marcus remained still, acutely aware that one wrong move could end not just his life, but any hope for his world. I won't lie to you, Your Majesty. Not even to save myself. No, you won't. Lyria completed her circle, standing before him again. That is precisely why I chose you. Because I am not just any woman seeking flattery and obedience. I am a queen who must make decisions that affect trillions of lives across hundreds of worlds. I need advisors who will tell me the truth, not what I wish to hear. She turned to address the assembled nobles. This human is correct. The current treaty will destroy Earth's economy and create resentment that will fester for generations. What use is a protectorate that hates us? What wisdom is there in grinding a potentially valuable ally into dust? Your Majesty, the precedent, Lord Ven protested. If we show weakness to one species, others will demand similar concessions. Weakness? Lyria's laugh rang through the chamber. Lord Ven, true strength is knowing when to extend mercy. My ancestors built this empire not through brutality alone, but through creating bonds of genuine loyalty. We have drifted from that path, and it has made us feared, but not respected. She looked back at Marcus. Your petition is bold, human, but bold alone is insufficient. What does Earth offer in exchange for more favorable terms? Marcus had prepared for this moment, running through scenarios with Earth's best strategists. Knowledge, Your Majesty. Humanity may be technologically inferior, but we've survived disasters that would have destroyed other species. We understand adaptation, improvisation, and lateral thinking. Our scientists have already identified 3 potential improvements to your shield technology using principles your engineers overlooked. Impossible, Ven scoffed. Our technology is millennia beyond yours. Different perspectives yield different solutions, Marcus countered. You've had the same brilliant minds working on the same problems for centuries. Sometimes fresh eyes see what familiarity has made invisible. Lyria nodded slowly. A reasonable argument. What else? Military innovation. The Valthine fight with overwhelming force and superior technology, which works against most foes. But the Kreth adapt quickly to conventional tactics. Human military history is filled with victories achieved through unconventional warfare. We could train special units in guerrilla tactics, asymmetric warfare, psychological operations. Your Majesty cannot seriously be considering this, a female noble interjected. Humans are primitive. What could they possibly teach our warriors? Marcus turned to face her. How to win when you're outgunned and outnumbered. How to turn an enemy's strength against them. How to survive when surrender isn't an option. These are lessons learned in blood over thousands of years of human conflict. Queen Lyria walked back to her throne, but did not sit. You speak of your species' violent history without shame. I'm not proud of every war we've fought, Your Majesty, but I won't deny what we've learned from them. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our refusal to quit, even when quitting is the logical choice. We've faced extinction dozens of times in our history and survived through sheer stubbornness. For the first time, something like approval flickered across Lyria's face. That stubbornness is what caught my attention when I reviewed your file. You were court-martialed twice for disobeying orders. I was, Your Majesty. Both times, following orders would have resulted in the deaths of my crew. I chose to save them instead. And both times, subsequent investigation proved you correct, resulting in your reinstatement and promotion. Lyria tapped one elegant finger against her throne. Tell me, Captain Red, what would you do if I ordered you to accept the original treaty terms right now? The question hung in the air like a blade. Marcus felt every eye in the chamber upon him. This was the true test, the moment that would determine everything. I would respectfully decline, Your Majesty. Gasps echoed through the throne room. Ven's hand went to his weapon again. But Lyria smiled, an expression that revealed teeth far sharper than human ones. You would refuse a direct order from your queen? You are not my queen, Your Majesty. You are the queen of the Valthine Empire. I serve Earth and its people. If accepting those terms means my death, but gives Earth a chance to negotiate with someone else, then I've done my duty. Treason, Ven hissed. This proves humans cannot be trusted. No, Lord Ven. Lyria's voice cut through the accusation. This proves that Captain Reed is exactly what he appears to be, a man of principle, who will not compromise his values, even under threat of death. That is the kind of integrity I need in my council, not sycophants who agree with everything I say. She raised her hand, and a holographic document materialized in the air. I am revising the treaty. Earth will provide 40% of its industrial output for 50 years, with decreasing percentages each decade as your economy stabilizes. In exchange, you will establish a joint research initiative with our scientists and provide military consultation on unconventional warfare tactics. Marcus felt his heart hammer against his ribs. It was more than they'd hoped for, better terms than Earth's negotiators had dreamed possible. Additionally, Lyria continued, you will remain here as Earth's permanent ambassador and my personal advisor on human affairs. You wish to challenge me, Captain Reed. Be careful what you wish for. I am not just any woman who tolerates insolence. I am the queen who personally selected you, and I expect you to live up to the potential I saw in your file. Your Majesty, I accept. Marcus bowed deeply, not in submission, but in respect. Good. Now get out of my sight before I change my mind. But her eyes gleamed with something that might have been amusement. We begin work tomorrow. I trust you will continue to be insufferably honest. I wouldn't know how to be otherwise, Your Majesty. As Marcus was escorted from the throne room, he heard Queen Lyria address her court. Let this be a lesson to all of you. Sometimes the greatest service comes not from those who bow lowest, but from those brave enough to stand tall. The human may be small and primitive, but he possesses something many of you have forgotten, the courage to speak truth to power. Walking through the crystalline corridors, Marcus allowed himself a small smile. Earth would survive. More than that, humanity had just gained a powerful ally who valued honesty over empty flattery. The game had been dangerous, the stakes impossibly high. But he'd gambled on the character of a queen he'd barely known, and one dot behind him. In the throne room, Queen Lyria returned to her seat and thought of the interesting days ahead. She had chosen well. The human would be a valuable asset, a reminder of the principles upon which her empire had been built. And perhaps, just perhaps, he would help her remember what it meant to be not just a conqueror, but a true queen.